how sweet it is to be loved by you nerds. What is up? It's me, your buddy pal HeyArcher. Welcome back to HeyArcher Live here on Nerd Affiliated. We are so happy to have all of you here today. I feel like my brain is in 5 million places. If you could see this desk right now, there's literally a table turned over because it's from the Dragon Ball Z set. But it's a mess. It's a mess. But it's fine. We'll make it through. We'll make it through together. I'm feeling motivated also because I just started Ted Lasso, which is kind of why I'm late. Anyway, if you're new here, welcome to HeyArcher Live here on Nerd Affiliated, where we sit back, relax, pour ourselves a drink, talk nerd shop, talk about toys, talk about TV, talk about movie, more importantly, talk to this week's guest, the legendary Legacy of Nerd, Daniel himself is in the house this week, and I'm pumped to talk to him as always. You guys love him. I love him. It's a good time for all. We'll talk Power Rangers for sure, but he's got a bunch of other stuff going on too, so we will catch up with him. As per usual, if you've got a YouTube channel, a podcast, a blog, a vlog, an OnlyFans, a newsletter, smoke signals, put it in the chat. Support one another. Plug yo shit. If you want to, if you're so kind, if you're so kind to us here on the channel, hit the thumbs up down below. Subscribe. Hit the bell to get notified every single time we go live or post new videos like I posted a random one today. Just sometimes it happens like that. And if you want to go that extra step, channel memberships, link down below. Join the Nerd Foundation. But as I say every week, without further ado, I, of course, for you, sir, had to I promised it. I said next time you're on the show. I mean, I played it since then, but just for you, the Mad Titan himself, the only fan of Titans, the Legacy of Nerd, Daniel himself.
Funny enough, I haven't seen like the last 3 episodes of Titans at all.
Are you up to date on the season?
No, I'm not.
Oh, well, sorry. You just said that. I meant, you would swear I'm the one with a newborn, not you. Are you watching the new season even though you're not up to date?
I was, and then I just stopped.
Got it.
So and that was before the baby was born.
Yeah.
So I think I'm done with Titans. I was kind of done after that zombie episode.
Wow.
It was just so random and dumb. Wasn't feeling it anymore.
You know what? Ladies and gentlemen? You know what, ladies and gentlemen? To the Legacy one himself.
More specifically, vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila.
As we sunset.
More vodka, more whiskey, more beer.
Oh man, that is the last time. That is the last time that we play that sound bite on this channel. You have sunsetted. You have retired Titans officially on HeyArcher Live, episode 136.
Funny enough, I kind of ended my Titans. I watched Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans, that cartoon on HBO Max.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm good with Titans now. I felt like that was a good send off. It was good enough.
I love that. Let's say hi to everybody, of course, in the chat. The General himself, General Kenobi's Bunker, is in the house. Good to see you, brother. We have Sal as well. We are getting the party started. Are you ready for the nerdtastic adventures of HeyArcher?
Nice.
It might have to be a shirt. It might have to be a shirt there. And then
Archie
Patrick
Archer
in the building. Yeah, exactly. So you've been quite the busybody these days. In case people are living under a rock, in case they're unfamiliar, take this moment, plug your shit, sir.
Well, I am Daniel. A lot of you know me from the chat and being kind of a smart ass there, but I I run the Legacy of Nerd YouTube channel. Um, Toy collector. I was toy reviewing. I was toy hunting. I'm not really toy hunting these days. Like, kind of just not feeling it right now. But I'm kind of doing some other things with my channel. I'm going to be starting some other things that are less expensive, and and I'm gonna be well, maybe not less expensive because I mean I'm attending some of these things now, but the channel is kind of actually going through an overhaul, so it's really fun and kind of weird right now and kind of like exciting.
Mhm.
Um, there's opportunities that come up that I can kind of talk about at the end of the show
Mhm.
that have changed since I have started the channel. But right now, I'm just trying to stay afloat, trying to get you guys some weekly stuff to see and talk about. And but it's been fun lately. Most of it's Power Ranger focused, but I will be moving into some other stuff, kind of there. But I will always be Power Ranger focused for sure.
For sure. So you just dropped an hour ago an interview with Andros from
Yeah, man,
Power
that's
Rangers
my
in
favorite interview.
Space.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. So I got to go to Retromania with General Kenobi,
Mhm.
like it was 2 or 3 weeks ago now, and 5 of the Power Rangers were there from In Space. As you can see, a Psycho Red, In Space Black, Yellow, Silver, and Red, and
Mhm.
they all agreed to talk to me. It was really fun, and unfortunately my mics went out for the last 3,
Mhm.
but the Andros one was the best one that I had without the mics, actually.
Nice.
Uh, Justin is the funniest one that I have. Tracy, it was just hard to get a hold of her, like, even though she was right in front of me, because, like, she's just so popular. There was, like, out of all the lines there, like, hers was just, like, out the door all the time.
Wow.
But she was nice enough to talk to me. Carlos, I mean, Roger here, like, out of everyone, like, because on the show, like, I don't know if you remember, he was always kind of shy and timid
Yeah.
on the
Yep.
show. In real life, he is just like
Out there.
energetic, like out there, exciting, and I was not expecting that. And
Yeah.
of course, Psycho Red, as you would probably expect it, is the sweetest guy that
Mhm.
was there. Like, he's just such a nice person, and you see like his portrayal on TV and his voice, because he changes his voice in the interview, and you're
Yeah.
like, your voice is like legitimately evil, but you're like the nicest guy here.
If I remember, in that one, was he saying that he went for like red in general on Power Rangers, or he went for a different role?
So he said he was they told him he was up for was for a Red Ranger,
Mm.
and he was actually going to be up for. I don't think he kind of talked. He didn't say Andros his
Right.
role, but he was kind of saying it could have been or Lost Galaxy Red,
Mm.
and then they just threw Psycho Red at him like out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's crazy how that like seems to be a thing where you'll have these people who go for a Power Ranger, or I mean, I guess it's in movies in general and TV, but I feel like in
Yeah,
Power Rangers happens a lot. People come in, go for certain roles, rejected, go into a different role, and then when you see the role they ended up in, you're like, wow, I can't even see you playing the one you went for. Like Billy went for Red, I
Jason.
believe.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
got the part for Jason.
Oh wow,
he
really?
he won the role for Jason, but he started reading it more, and he was like, "I'm not this guy," like
Ah, interesting.
So he was like, "I
Interesting.
feel like I'm this guy," and they're like, "Okay, well, you take that spot, and we'll keep on looking for a Red Ranger," and
Yeah.
that's how they got Jason.
Interesting. And then
Mhm.
Jason David Frank also went for Jason.
Jason did. Yep, he did. So that's what that. I remember seeing an interview. I don't know, maybe like I was a kid, and I
Mm-hmm.
remember watching Jason David Frank was on Regis and Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was called back then, and he was talking to them, and they're like, "Well, like for anybody that wants to be a Power Ranger, how do you do it?" He's like, just audition. Like, if, he's like, they're always looking for new people on the show.
Yep.
And this was like right after the movie, because I think that's why he was on. And then
Yep.
of course, like, they got the new Yellow Ranger and then the cast overhaul. So I
Mm-hmm.
like I think Power Rangers and TV shows probably in general are just always auditioning people and
Yep.
just like keeping them in the back of their head. Like, oh yeah, I remember this person came in.
Yep. It's also like a different time period because, well, I guess Power Rangers kind of stays on its own, but I feel like nowadays for TV shows, especially like if a company's putting a lot of money behind them, they don't want to take the route of like a nobody, like somebody that's just so random. All these people are just martial artists that are just like applying for this thing. Like you don't really
Unless
hear
you're
about that too
CW.
much.
Yeah,
CW
I
does
would.
that.
CW, I feel like is like we have a plethora of people here. Just
Yeah,
plug in who you need. But
yeah,
I think you're right. Like you look at NBC, ABC.
yeah,
There's at least the top three build are always somebody that they looked for, and it was like we want that person.
yeah,
But I can see what you're saying. Like back then, it was more like just get everybody in here. Let's audition everybody, and then we'll kind of fill them in where we can.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. I always go back to the late great Kevin Conroy, where he was like, if I went for Batman now, there's no chance I'd get it. He's like, because nowadays, especially in animation, they're like, oh, like Chris Pratt, like you
Yeah,
always needed
yeah,
to
yeah.
be like
Or Jensen
somebody,
Ackles.
yeah, somebody major.
Yeah.
But I like thinking back to those old days where it's like, oh no, they just wanted the person who just matches a role, no name, no nothing, just
But
get
it's
them in
like,
there.
even with voice actors, like I think voice actors is one of those things like if you work hard enough and
Mhm,
you are in there, like
mhm,
you don't need to be a name like D. Bradley Baker. Like
mhm,
nobody knows who that guy is, but
mhm,
he's like in everything. He's like every single clone in Star Wars. Like
mhm,
he is like voices cartoons,
mhm,
video games, and everything. Like you said, like Mark Hamill, Kevin Conroy, rest in peace.
mhm.
Johnny Young Bosch, Power Rangers, like
Yeah,
he's in a
yeah,
lot of animes and stuff like that.
yeah.
And it's just like if you just like keep pushing. What's another one? The one that does Harley Quinn and Tara Strong. Is that
Tara
what it is?
Strong, yeah, from
I
Teen
mean,
Titans, I know her.
exactly. So I mean,
Hmm.
it's just you get these people, and if they put the work in, you're going to get the roles.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. I mean, there's good things to be had there. Uh, I know what you're talking about, like DC animated. They want like a name in there right now, but
Hmm.
they still come back to Tara Strong for Harley Quinn all the time,
Yeah.
even though they got Kaylee Kuwaku, wherever say your name is, but
Hmm.
they'll always
Another,
come back to the original.
was to say too, like another one I just highlighted on the nerd affiliated Instagram, um, Cree Summer, like just character number like 6 in a different world. Like she was in the main cast, but was not like the most popular character.
Mhm.
And then this whole different, celebrity comes out by just doing voice.
Yeah,
And I put here some popular ones, but she's been in so many things. It's just wild.
yeah. Or was it E.G. Daily? Was another one
Hmm.
like Rugrats. I
Hmm.
always remember that.
Yeah, not for sure. But you also did a new form of media in recent
Yeah.
day. Talk to us about this little article here.
So I'm writing now. Like
That's a
I'm
little
writing
wild.
articles. Yeah.
Talk to us about
So
it.
I it's kind of a weird thing that's going on. So Countdown CD Geeks is a group, a media group here in San Antonio.
Hmm.
Um, they're definitely rising, but they're definitely known. They do a
Hmm.
lot of hosting panels for cons here.
Hmm.
They cover a lot of the cons and events. If they're not hosting it, I mean they're everywhere and anywhere. But they're expanding, and so I am kind of like Batmaning their Justice League here. So I
So
am part of their team.
you never asked to join the league, but you show up when you need to.
Basically, that's what's going on. Like I'm showing up when I'm needed right now.
Yeah.
Uh, I am that's what I was kind of talking about because you always tell me to play stuff at the end. But so I'm continuing the legacy of Nerd Brand. Like that's going to continue, and
Yeah.
content on the legacy of Nerd is going to go on. The Countdown City Geeks is another group. So if it's to say, I'm going to a horror event, like
Hmm.
there's a Chucky event coming up here in San Antonio.
Hmm.
I may go to that. I may talk to people that, and that may be features on Countdown City Geeks channel rather than mine because that doesn't really fit
Oh.
on mine. You know what I mean? But at
Yes.
the same time, if I have a lot of stuff that they may want to cover, I may put like a little blurb and put my video on their site as well. So
Nice.
we're gonna start intertwining the brands a little bit,
Hmm.
but I'm always gonna try to keep Legacy of Nerd what it's always been, which
Yep.
is, I guess, mine is the best way.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to continue that on. But I'm also going to be writing some articles when I don't have visual media to contribute to them. So like this is something I want to write about. I'll probably be writing about cosmic theory coming up. Um, those are the first two articles I'm kind of working on right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have some other things in my head that we're talking about. I have some other things that they're helping me with, because they will also help me get access to things that I haven't had access to before. So, like
Oh.
talking to and doing more interviews, and whether it be Power Rangers or not.
Mm-hmm.
But just kind of, I've been allowed to have their backing as a media group going into these things now.
I love that. That's such a good idea. And thank you, Sal, for putting that in the chat. I was
Yes.
actually about to look for that, and he went ahead and jumped on in on it.
So
Make sure
their
I put that
leader, the leader, his name is Steady, is Ted, and
Mhm.
he, I've actually known him for I think about 20 years now. We actually used to
Oh
work
wow!
together at the movie theaters
Wow.
when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So we already had a lot in common. He started this. He kind of like he's always been kind of doing the things I wanted to do. And I want to say, like, not only like seeing other people on YouTube and stuff doing that, but he is one of the ones that kind of inspired me to like, why am I not out here talking my stuff, doing my things,
Interesting.
So, he's had a podcast for like, man, 10 years now, somewhere
Mm-hmm.
around there. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I started guest spotting on it. Basically, when I started YouTube, he started having me on,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I mean, it's just something that's kind of evolved our relationship with our brands right now.
I'm gonna drop that sub right now.
Nice, man.
I'm shocked I've not come across them before.
Yeah, so he his YouTube stuff, you'll see there, like, his numbers are kind of low for 10 years, but like you look at his Facebook's, like there's like 30,000 subscribers on Facebook. Like
Wow.
there's like his Spotify has a bunch of subscribers as well. Like he's very well known here in San Antonio. He got to interview Brandon Routh. I think that's might be on there this last summer.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he got to interview Ross Marquand, and then you can see he's interviewed like Henry Thomas. Like, who does that? Like, so,
Yeah.
and he's done a lot of cool stuff. So
Judith Hogue. I mean, the OG
yeah,
April O'Neil. Yeah.
he got Tyler Maine, got the original Michael Myers, or not original, but Rob Zombie's Michael Myers. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's done some really
That's
cool stuff,
insane.
and yeah, and he's done it like every week for like 10 years. So
Wow.
when he approached me and he was like, is this something that you want to do? My first thought was like, I'm having a baby right now. Like, that was my first thing, was like, man, like, I'm gonna do like kind of double the work. But he was kind of like, no, man, just do when you can, contribute when you can, and then we'll help you grow as well.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
cool.
it's cool. Like, he just asked me the other day, like, if I wanted to go to a press screening for when he didn't ask me, but he asked a group of us if we wanted to go to a press screening for Cocaine Bear. I
Yes. Do it.
was like, I was kind of thinking about it. I was like, that sounds fun, but I don't know if I have the time right now.
Yeah, that's true. It does. I went to one screening ever, and that was actually the only time I've ever seen Kevin Conroy in person.
Oh,
I
nice.
went to see Justice League Doom. I'm not sure if I've
Okay.
talked about that here before, but I went to go see it. This was back. That was probably, if I had to guess, the MySpace days. Like, if it, like back in the day, I used to get tickets to like random concerts and all sorts of stuff through MySpace. So I'm gonna assume that this was through MySpace as well.
Mhm.
And for you kids out there, there was a time before Facebook. It was called MySpace, and I got to go and see a panel with Kevin Conroy. I don't even know if Mark Hamill was there. I don't think so. But it was a bunch of other voice actors were there for the Justice League Doom movie, and it was just weird, but like cool at the same time, because I'm like, oh wait, who are these people? And then they start talking, and I'm like, oh shit, like I know you from the
Yeah.
movie. But I mean, if you get a chance to even talk to people at that thing, I mean, I'm sure that would be amazing. Like that'd be so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, there's some other things that we may be trying to do. Like I announced we were doing the Steve Cardenas thing,
Mm-hmm.
which should be happening hopefully. But uh, because of him, I got kind of in contact with. We're having another con up here,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess I can promote up here. It's called More Phenomenal,
Mm.
and they have some people that are coming. They have Hunter Dino, which is Amelia, who's going to be the new Red Ranger.
Yep.
The big that's the big one. They have Liana Ramirez, who was in Beast Morphers, and Rory Travis, who was in Beast Morphers. And then they're having Blake Foster, like as I'm sure everyone knows who that is, which is Justin from Turbo, the Blue
Mm-hmm.
Ranger, the Kid
Mm-hmm.
Ranger. And then they're having some those guys like Orion, but they're having Jenna Frank there as well. But
Wow.
they're having 4 more guests they haven't announced yet. So that's something because of them, I got in touch with the promoter for that show, and we're working on how I'm going to be at that show. David Yost is coming to San Antonio. If anybody's here in the San Antonio area, he's coming that same weekend, like March 15th, I want to say. And we're trying to work on hopefully getting to talk to him. And so that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot more things are coming up because of our partnership is maybe happening. So
Mm-hmm.
they also have they have a thing called WrestleCast,
Mm-hmm.
which they're interviewing a bunch of up and coming wrestlers. A lot of some of them had them scheduled and then they got signed to AEW, so they weren't allowed to talk to them. So
Yep.
that's happened a lot for them right now. They also have a Ghostbusters show called Ghost Heads as well, and they're big Ghostbusters fans as like I am Power Rangers. So
Mm-hmm.
that's their fandom of choice for sure.
I just love this whole, all of us that were kids in all this nerd shit. Like now we're older, now we have funds, now
Yeah.
we know how to run shows, so we're just doing
Or
it.
talk to people like
Just talk to people. Yeah.
right. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, okay, so I'll be honest. Like General, I was there with General Kenobi, and I went to go. The first person I talked to was Roger Velasco, was Carlos
Mm-hmm.
from the Power, and like, not to dox myself, but like what I do for a living is like I interview a lot of people all the
Mm-hmm.
time. So I never had an issue with like it once I started interviewing, but it was like dude, these guys were like people that are like superheroes to me. Like,
Yeah.
like I know exactly who they are, I know exactly the things that they've done. And so I get up to Roger Velasco and I was like, hey, Nerd Legacy, you want to do an interview? And he was like, what? I was like, man, sorry. First, can I like, it was nice to meet you, man, but here's your figure. I want to, would you sign it for me? I was like, yeah. And he was like, I was like, hey man, I got a YouTube channel. And then once I got talking, I was better, and then once I get to
Yeah.
the interviews, like I'm watching the interviews now and like, I'm like, I actually sound kind of decent in them.
Yeah.
And, Roger Velasco General Kenobi was there. He was filming for me. And Roger Velasco looked at me. He was like, man, you do a good interview. And I was like, thanks. You're the first one. And he was like, really? I was like, yeah, first time I've ever done it for a celebrity before. And he was like, oh, okay.
I
So I
love
didn't
that.
think it was funny, but yeah, it was really cool. Once I start talking, I feel like I feel better. Um,
For
it's just
sure.
approaching the situation was making me nervous. And then
That's how I felt when I met Jason David Frank. It was like the nerves
same,
kind of hit you random, and then
yeah,
but once you start going, you're good.
yeah, for sure. And I was talking to General, and I was just like, because I had written out the questions beforehand, like the night
Mm-hmm.
before, where I actually started a couple days before, but I didn't really get a chance to finish it. And he was like, I think a lot of them took you more seriously because you had those questions ready. And I
Mm.
was like, oh, that makes sense. So he was like, you didn't look like you were just kind of winging it. I was like, oh,
Right.
okay. He's
Right.
probably right. General Kenobi knows everything. So make sure you always follow his advice.
Yeah. Go follow the general, of course. And Sal pointed out that Yukon Phil right now is 9 away from 1,000.
Dude,
So
that guy's crazy, man.
yeah, even
It's
though he's not
it's
in the chat, go sub to him.
it's crazy because like like when's the first time you had me on? Like in June, maybe May or June, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
And like you've hit 1,000 since then. General Kenobi, like you just put on YouTube and he's on whatever. If it's Star Wars, he's on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then like he was talking about like I'm writing now, which is different. So
Mm-hmm.
like I just feel like we're evolved. Like it's only been a couple months, and like all of us are doing like so much different stuff than we were doing before. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
or doing it differently for sure.
I mean, that's what you got to do, because it's
Yeah.
otherwise, on the one hand, it could become stale. It could
Yes.
also become
Which
tiring.
which we talked about. Like remember I told you I was like, man, I'm not feeling this toy on it anymore. Like
Yeah.
I it wasn't that I don't enjoy toy hunting. Is that like you see my toy hunt and then you go and see like Sleeping's toy hunt or Sentry's toy hunt, and I'm finding the same stuff that they're finding. Like
Yeah.
is not anything. The stuff on camera is not anything good, or not necessarily not anything good, but not anything different. But
Right.
you know, I want to do my own thing. So I told you like I just want to like go into different stuff, and at the time, what was I experiencing? I was experimenting with stop motion. I was
Right.
experimenting with kind of doing those newsreels that I was doing, and doing some different stuff at home. And you know, it's not that like I don't think toy hunting is actually I don't know. I guess I'll kind of say it, but like I feel like the toy hunting medium is kind of like deteriorating. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if it's there's a few that I see that are like I feel like they're just like recession proof apparently. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're either their subscribers are growing and their views are growing.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like I as far as other toy hunters go, like I don't think the viewership as was there as it was before, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Right.
So and I think the I want to have more original content right now. And I'm not saying like I'm totally abandoning toy hunting because if I actually need to toy hunt for something, probably film it because why not?
Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
But it's just like I don't think like doing it like 7 videos in a row is like what I want to do anymore.
Yeah. No, and it's we've talked about on the channel with other hunters. It can be
Yeah.
tiring. Like if
Yeah.
you're especially if you're going for that one figure. And I think something that was different was when a lot of us started, it was during COVID times,
Yeah.
and getting certain figures, like you were almost overbuying because you were like, I don't even know if I'm getting another chance to buy this thing. Like
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
now or never because things are delayed, things are just not showing up anymore. So you kind of went like wild with it.
Mm.
But there's so many more new hunters out there making
Yeah.
content that the people just kind of go 5 million different ways. But I
Yeah.
think that's where doing the other content helps both you as a creator, and it helps your audience to be like, oh, there is more to this person than just the hunt. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, who would have thought Kenobi be running his own live stream twice a week now? He does his
Right.
regular high
Yeah.
ground, and he does his Bad Batch reviews. Like he was just hunting, not even face on camera, and now he's his own Star Wars entity. So it's like
Right.
you kind of gotta just roll with it and be like, oh, let me try this, let me try this, let me try that.
And it's kind of crazy, like, and I was talking to one of my friends, and he was like, dude, you went from like, we used to talk about like why power coins look different
Mm-hmm.
to you're actually talking to Rangers now. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I was like, it's
yeah.
kind of different, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's, I think, I don't know. I think more original stuff is needed for sure. I
Yeah.
think that's what's going on. And especially, you know, like you have your live show, and then like you just put up that Mattel Hasbro stock thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is anybody's watching needs to make sure they watch that. It's very interesting, and if you know anything about anything, like it doesn't matter what it's affiliated with ever. If you follow the money, you're gonna find an answer, and that's
Yeah,
what the video is about essentially.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I think there's better uses of um my viewers' time, I guess, I rather than just another Target toy aisle. Um, but like I said, like I'm not downing on it completely because I don't think I'm gonna abandon it completely
right.
because I do need a couple of things that on clearance once it goes clearance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
uh, at the same time, it's not interesting for me right now.
Yeah. No, and there's so many other things to make content on. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be the only thing. But again, I was looking at Century the other day, and now he's mixing up going to just local shops. So it's not even just Target every
Which I have
time
to add, I feel like Sentry is like he's the exception to this whole
to
thing.
the rule.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like if I can say any of the toy hunters that have the exemption of what I'm saying right now is Sentry because I will watch him and I'm like it's still interesting even though I know what he's gonna find
Mm-hmm.
and he seems to his views and subscriber count seems to be growing despite everybody else's toy hunting stuff being declining.
Mm-hmm.
He's growing, which is
Mm-hmm.
insane. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how he's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he's just amazing. That's what it is. But
Yeah.
that's the exception is Century. So um, if you haven't checked his stuff out, his toy walks are what's really interesting. I was actually talking with General Kenobi, and I was like, he's got to be like a lawyer or something because he's just like like an orator, man. Like
Yeah.
he's like someone like back in the medieval times or not the ancient Greek times that would tell stories and everybody would gather around them.
And it's funny because he loves the medieval stuff. He loves the high
Right?
fantasy stuff. And then the toy walks, he's always in the woods somewhere. There's a castle in one of the episodes.
Right? That's what I was like, where do you walk, dude?
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's in IT. I feel
I
like
think so
he
too.
has a
Yeah.
job that like you wouldn't expect him to have.
Yeah.
But I bet you he wears a suit every day and you just don't realize it.
Well, I've seen some of his videos. He shows like I'm not off of work. He's taking off the tie.
Oh yeah, yeah. When he goes to like Midtown Comics in Manhattan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I know he definitely wears a suit to work, which I don't envy. I don't think I could do that. But
I did it once in my life and I was like, it's not for me.
yeah, I mean, even the times I'm supposed to be wearing a suit right now, like I'm on camera anyway, so it's just the top half.
Yeah.
I have my basketball shorts underneath.
So if you could, since we're like talking about this kind of stuff, like is there something now you kind of want to create that you've not really attempted, if it's even a topic or you even did, you mentioned it earlier, you did stop motion for a little bit,
Mhm.
which I was kind of like, where did that skill come from? Like, is there something
That was
else that, oh, go ahead.
no, the stop motion was boredom at the time. That was like, I
Shout
bet
out
I
to
could do this. And then it was like hard. And I did like, the first Megazord transformation. And I was like, that only took me 30 minutes. Like, that wasn't bad. And then I tried to make that movie, and the
Mhm.
2 minutes took me 12 hours. And I
Wow.
was like, that sucks, dude. Like, this is hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But something that I want to create or something do different. I mean, like I'm Power Ranger focused, and I've accepted that.
Yep.
It wasn't the intention. It was always well, like I can always lean on Power Rangers, but I've kind of accepted that. But I would like to have a video that does well that's not Power Rangers. That's what I would like,
Yeah. Yeah.
But because I feel like I know so much more than actually Power Rangers. I'm pretty well versed in a lot of different things, but
Mhm.
there's one thing that I want to do. It's what I started doing is just actually like getting to meet people and be more intertwined with media, and
Mm.
like getting to interview the In Space cast was, I feel like, the highlight of my channel so far.
Yeah.
Even though I don't care that those videos aren't like 10,000 views, like I got to talk to Andros and we talked about
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
was cool, man. Like,
Yeah.
I got to talk to Ashley, which was everybody's crush,
Yeah.
in 1998. And she sat down and she gave me a hug. And I got to meet the Silver Ranger, who was when I talked to him, I asked him what his figure looked like, and he was like, yeah, it looks like Jay Leno. And I was like, I love you, man. You're awesome, dude. Like, like I got to talk to these people. And
Yeah.
I think it was to the point, like, if I saw them again, I think they would recognize me because, like, we actually talked for a while,
Mhm.
So that's what I wanted to do. Like, I want to get more involved. the writing thing was a big thing that I wanted to, um, that I've always wanted to do. I was actually talking to my mom about it when I was talking, because I was kind of talking to my family about when I was going to be joining Countdown City Geeks, on
Mhm.
whether they thought it was a good idea for me to do it, you know? And well, first of all, everybody says, can you still do the Legacy of Nerd? And I was like, well, yes, that would be like, that's not something I would stop. They're like, okay. And everybody reminded me, I totally forgot about this, but like I was going to school at one time to be a broadcaster. Like
Oh wow.
I hadn't thought about that in 10 years. Like legit. Like
Yeah.
I was like for 2 years I was going to college, and the plan was to be like on the news or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
I had forgot about that dream, like totally. And then my mom was talking to me about it, and I was like, "Holy shit, dude! Like, that's kind of what I'm doing, you know? Like,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
I'm writing articles, like, I'm doing interviews, I'm getting into events as like, you know, a Retromania. I was there as press, like that was
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, More from Animal, I may be going there as press. I haven't gotten that for sure. There's other events that I'm getting media and press access to.
Mm-hmm.
I probably, I don't know, say probably, but I might be working the superhero uh, car show this summer, which was the big one where, you know, Ewan McGregor was at last year. So
Wow.
like you know, these are things that I want to do, like more than just YouTube. And yeah, like I would like to like put them on YouTube, and so other people can see what I got to do, but like get to experience these things. That's what I'm like. I never, like, okay, like Cocaine Bear, like whatever, but I've never been asked to go to a press screening before. Like that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, like that's exactly where I want to be right now. So I think that's kind of starting right now. Um, you know, I might get to, it hasn't been set in stone, but like I might get to interview David Yost, which is before his special,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and Steve Cardenas before their special. Like that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't just decided one day, like maybe I should film a toy hunt, you know? So
Wow. That's true.
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So, like, do you think? I mean, that's the question, right? Like, when you go to do those interviews, is it gonna be for written form, video, both?
I
Like,
think
do
with
you know what you prefer?
I know David Yost we're gonna try to do like a stream actually.
Mm.
That, or I don't know, actually it might be a video. Not entirely sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's if we get the approval. We haven't gotten the approval yet.
Yeah.
But um I would prefer to do it on video. I think being on video, talking to the person more like to see what I do. Like look what I
Yeah.
did, you know?
Yeah.
But I was talking with Ted on this, and I was like, I don't think I can pump out that was like 1,000 word article. Like I don't think I can pump
Mm.
those out every week, you know, especially with life right now. And he was like, well, you know, you interviewed the In Space cast. There's another article on there, but I just wrote like a paragraph and then I copy and paste my video underneath, you know.
Mm.
So kind of both is what I'm going to be doing. Like I'm going to have like, you know, hey, like, you know, kind of like when you see like on comicbook.com sort of thing, like, you know, they're kind of describing what the video that you saw, like I'll be kind of doing that.
Mm.
um I am, I think my there you go. Uh Articles are going to be more editorial, like I think, um because I definitely want to talk about Cosmic Fury. I think everybody's putting that on the back burner right now because of the Mighty Morphin special.
Right.
But I think Cosmic Fury is going to be like really big for Power Rangers, you know, because it's going to be their big send off. But I don't know. There might be other things, like, you know, I'm really into the Game of Thrones. Like I gave up Titans and I rewatched the entire Game of Thrones series, like
Wow.
beginning to end.
Wow.
I did that rather than watch 3 episodes of Titans. Like I watched 90 episodes of Game of Thrones instead to not watch the 3 episodes of Titans.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's something I might go into, or write about. I don't really have I'm not really being told no right now, which is kind of dangerous. So, um that's something that I'm happy about.
Yeah.
But I mean, I mean, I think it needs to be talked about is definitely like the QC issues with with Hasbro right now.
Mm-hmm.
The like I wanted to talk about the price increases, which I kind of go into that in that article as
Mm-hmm.
well. And like you did, like the stocks and stuff like that. Like like you said, like in that, you didn't say it in the video specifically, but like you follow the money, you're gonna find the answer to what you're looking for here. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna, they, like you said, like you could have been told Yahoo Finance these things years, like months ago. Like
Yeah.
we knew what was happening. You know,
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
no one just takes us seriously until that article that came out that said like there's more adult collectors now than ever. So
Yeah. And it's funny. I've actually messaged the, well, not like DM, but like I've tweeted the host that was talking in that video
Mhm.
before, like long time ago, and I had told him he mentioned Hasbro and like about kids purchases, and this was, I want to say this was after last holiday, so like this was the end of the 2021 holiday.
Okay.
And they mentioned Hasbro and stuff, and I was like, it's right now collectors are feeling some kind of way, and that's a good portion of the purchases.
Mhm.
And it kind of like, like got a like but ignored. And I'm like, there's something here. There's something here to that.
Yeah.
And I remember doing a vlog, because it's been a while since I've done vlogs. It was probably 2 years ago, and I was like, gas is starting to get expensive, and the gas starts to get expensive, but it's not just for us. It ends up being expensive for the toy companies. They have to ship the stuff. And then I was talking about, G.I. Joes, like back when they had the oil crisis in the 70s, I want to say. I always get this wrong, but I think it was in the 70s.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when they went down to the 3/4 scale, or 3 3/4 scale, because oil was so expensive and they use oil and plastics that they're like, whoa, making 12-inch figures is not cost effective.
Economical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go down. So there, like you said, you follow the money, things start to happen. And
But not
now,
only that, they could literally watch the nerd affiliated episode I was on last time, and we were talking about.
yes,
Remember, we were talking about like bread was triple the cost
Yeah.
of what it was the month before. Literally, like,
Yep.
why am I gonna go buy a 24? At that time, it was a $22 figure.
Yeah.
Now it's 20. Now it's 25. Why
Yep.
am I gonna go buy that instead of bread?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've been talking. You and me have been talking about this for a while, at the very least.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, and when we talk about QC, so this Jason David Frank figure is one I've wanted forever. I need this. I need Turbo. And
Yeah.
it's one of those where I'm afraid to buy it because I'm like, $25. I'm not a fan of the head sculpt. I know a lot of people actually like the head sculpt. I think the Dragon figure ruined it for me because I saw how good that one was, the Dragon figures. But I'm like, do I want to spend $25 right away? Obviously people do, it's sold out. But if it's not a Jason David Frank figure, I feel like most people are not buying Power Rangers like this. Like these are these one-offs.
No, and that's kind of I talk about in the article as well. Is just like, is it, are you gonna buy the? I bring up Super 7 specifically because with the prices increasing and the quality declining, people are looking at Super 7. Might as well. Like I'm spending more. I'm gonna get more in quality, which we found out with the Power Rangers line of Super 7, you're not gonna get more in quality because everybody's Super 7s are breaking. But for this, I think this is an exception, because the issue is going to be like, how hard is it going to get Jason David Frank merchandise right now?
Right.
And I can tell you, like, if you're looking for the old stuff right now, you're definitely paying inflated prices for just like the Red Zeo Ranger that came out. Like, that was on clearance for $15 the day before he died. Like, so for that, and then I also talk about in that article the remastered series, because I feel like the remastered series is their, like, I'm sorry I fucked up kind of series, I guess you want to say it. But like, you look at that and you can definitely tell they're putting more attention to detail in there just by the pinstripes on the belt alone. Like, just little things, they finally listen to fans. We get in the handheld morpher here. The head sculpts look phenomenally better. Even the helmets look a lot better. Okay. Now, when these leaked out, I put in my video that people were worried about that this was going to be a $50 figure.
Same.
When it doesn't look like a $50 figure.
Right.
But when I saw $33.99, I felt like everybody went like, okay, that's fair. I'll order it. Like,
yeah.
everybody was like, yeah, but I hear people like, I'll just wait for this to go on clearance. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but this is a fan channel exclusive. So will it go on clearance? Maybe on Amazon, but probably not because I don't think they're gonna make a whole lot of these ones. So
Well, you also I was talking about this I think last week where we have to be careful with this clearance thing because
mhm,
clearance, yeah, it helps us the buyer, but if you're waiting for more waves to come out, eventually they're going to be like, "Hey, these aren't selling." So
yeah,
I'm not doing another wave,
exactly. Or
and
I'm not going to make as much, or
yeah.
they're going to start making meeting supply with demand, and
Yep.
I think that's what they're trying to do with Star Wars. I think they talked about that they're not doing pre-orders for Star Wars anymore, which
Right.
I think is everybody's like, well, that's just dumb. I'm not going to find stuff. But then you're thinking about it. Well, yeah, because that's going to reset the demand. Like
Yep.
that's what they're doing. They're resetting the demand. Is it
Yep.
a smart business move? Not temporarily. It's not. Is
Yeah.
it a good long term move? Probably. But
Yep.
it's going to definitely piss people off.
Yep.
But it's that's what's going to happen. Like I remember even before the pandemic, it was hard to find Black Series, like a good Black
Yes.
Series story. Like,
Yes.
I could never find a trooper. I could never find a stormtrooper. I
Mhm.
could never find I could find maybe one kind of the Luke. I could always find Rogue One. That was the
Yep.
only thing I ever found was Rogue One. But
Yep.
everything else I could not find, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember I got I have the Mando, the Beskar Mando with Grogu set.
Mhm.
And that was the only thing that I wanted from Black Series from like 3 years. And I couldn't find that damn thing. And finally it showed up on Target like at 3 o'clock in the morning one night when I was happened to be away and I got it. So
Mhm. Yeah.
um but like now you look at the shows at Target and Walmart and you find these what were supposed to be impossible. The Emperor Palpatine was supposed to be impossible to
Oh,
find
yeah. Yeah.
the C3PO, you
Yeah.
find a plethora of Death Troopers, which everybody was scooping up in waves at first because they're like, we're not going to find this. And now, like, they're going clearance. Like,
Mhm.
you guys asked for all this stuff, they gave it to you and you didn't buy it.
Yeah.
And then now you're saying, like, I'm waiting for it to go clearance. Well, you can't count on things on going to clearance. Either you want it and buy it or you don't. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what it is. But I understand at the same time, that's the other end of the stick is that you know, this was supposed to be 1999 and now it's 27.99.
Yeah.
Like I got the Spider-Man cell shaded. I thought it was 22.99, 24.99 when
That's what it was.
and then I went to go check out, it's 28.99. I was like,
Yeah.
how much do I want it? And I was like, well, I mean, it's pretty cool. I guess so, but I wasn't really happy about it at the
Yeah.
time. But I'm happy about it now because apparently, like, if I wanted to sell it, I can get all my money back plus more.
Oh,
But
you can get all
like,
the money for it.
apparently, it's just right there on the wall. It's my
Yeah.
only Spider-Man. Like, and but I don't know. I mean, it really is just like what's if it's not important to you right now, I understand. And if there are more important things, especially like taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, making sure everybody's provided for, and toys have to be left out, then don't buy toys. I please do not buy toys because it will ruin you. I
Yep.
mean, like bad choices. These are all bad choices. Like this was not on purpose at all.
Yeah.
But it you can't expect the market to bend to your will either. It's not
Yeah.
going to. It's never doing that. So should you support Hasbro right now? I don't know. Like I mean, I still want the remastered series. I'm a little worried about the QC, even though most people are saying that their QC issues with that one, like overseas, are actually really good. Like they haven't
Mhm.
had any issues. But you're gonna buy what you want. So just kind of like I don't know, stop complaining about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I mean, but I think the complaints sometimes are just out of pure desire to want it all. Like, I brought up Vice Admiral Rampart. He just appeared back on the site today. He was the first item when I went on the page today. I happen to be on the site every day because I'm crazy. And you know, 27.99, as you mentioned, markup here. But where I feel like where I start to see the greed, like I want this figure. I by all accounts want this figure. Give me all the Imperial officers, all the troopers, as you mentioned earlier. But I know that that body, the hands, everything except the head are Tarkin. Like you have that
Yeah.
mold already.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why not just do us a solid and don't tell me it's extra money for the droid? Like, do us a solid, give it to us for even just standard price, because you're already making the molds for 2 different figures, changing nothing.
So, yeah, which is insane. And that's probably the Star Wars tax. You know, your Disney tax there
Mhm.
also, because like I'm thinking, and I'm like, you know, with the remastered series that I'm pre-ordering is $33.99. I'm getting like what 12 effects or 12 different accessories for $5
Yeah,
more than right
yeah,
there. You know,
yeah.
so and obviously that's probably Disney has raised their
Their
what they
tax.
want out of it
Yeah,
out of their figures as
yeah,
well. Now I'm not saying like yeah Hasbro's to blame here, and Sal brings up a point because there was that article that came out a couple days ago how basically Hasbro or Bank of America is upset with Hasbro because they are undermining the quality of like Magic the Gathering
right.
and Dungeons and Dragons, and they're flooding the market and bringing down
The
the
value.
the value of what's already out there, which is
Hmm.
pissing off consumers and therefore pissing off investors that
Hmm.
like Bank of America. So that's an issue. Like when you're flooding the market, like that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah.
Now when we're talking about, I think the quality is an issue. Okay, but here's the thing. Like I think Bruno talked about in his video today. Like we didn't have this stuff like in 1993, 1994, 1995. Like
Right.
these figures, like we could have never thought of having a full articulated Green Ranger or a
Right.
full articulated Mesogog. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
seriously, like
Yeah.
we got like a puppet. That's what we had was our Mesogog, literally, and or Ivan Ooze or whatever. And with that, it's going to come smaller parts that are more liable to break. Are there ways to avoid that? Well, yeah, we've always talked. Everybody's talked about the hair dryer method. Everybody's talked about the boiling water method, the hot water method. There are ways to avoid these QC issues. You know, I haven't had, and most of them in my box, but the ones that I've taken out, I haven't had anything break
Hmm.
because I'm careful with them when I take care of them. You know, I take care of them. So if you're going to take it out, you're going to take your figure out in the coldest part of winter right now, and you're trying to rip off the head,
Yeah.
you might break it. Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
might happen. You know, can the paint be better? Yeah. Like, can everything else? Like, can the paint be better? Yeah. Can the likenesses look better? Like, yeah, sure they can. But it's hard for us to complain that we want it all, and then when we get it, we're not happy with what we get.
Hmm.
At the same, I'm not trying to defend Hazard because I think the price issue is something different. Like, I think
Hmm.
that's a different thing in itself.
Yeah.
Um, because at the end of this day, I don't think these figures cost. Let's say they want what 100% profit. So
Hmm.
you're assuming that they're making them for like $13.
Hmm.
I don't think it's $13. It's probably like $7 or $8 or something like that. You know,
Right. Right.
and because they're what they're clearancing what at $13, $14.
Yeah.
They're
And
not gonna.
and
They're not.
they're still making profit on it.
They're still making a profit. They're not gonna not make a profit. When they're
Yeah.
talking about when they're down in profits, that means they have not made as much profit as they made before.
Right. Right.
It's not that they are in the red. It's that they were expecting more profit. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I think it's a whole big. I think it's a big thing right now, and I think it's showing with collectors. I think a lot of collectors are going to vintage right now
Yep.
because they're just it's more reminiscent of what they want, and I mean cost the same price. The problem is like with me, like I went too much vintage already. Like I don't have a lot of stuff left to go vintage for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, new stuff is where I kind of lie at. But I don't know. I'm kind of on both sides of the fence of it. I'm probably the worst person to ask about it. That's why I haven't made the "I'm done with you" Hasbro video yet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well, I think because even those of us that have said we're done, like we're not done
yeah,
because we hate the figures. I think
yeah,
it always comes back to price, and it comes back to like, are you messing with me or not? Like,
yeah,
I mean, shameless plug. I did a short today about Dan Yoon. I don't know if I'm
mhm,
saying his name right, but he works on the Marvel Legends side, I see him in all live streams. You guys all see him in live streams, and he even just like shouting out like his coworkers. Like he's a good dude. Like I see his tweets all the time. I see his comments all the time, and I'm like, he's a true fan of the various lines, and he just wants to make dope toys. And
I
it's
do
like
feel people are very unnecessarily mean to him.
they
Like,
are for sure.
just taking it personal. I'm like, well, dude, like he just makes legends, man. Like,
Yeah,
tries to does his best.
yeah. No, it makes dope stuff like this, but it's like,
That's a good looking figure. I like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then I get torn, right? Because I'm like, I want to send a message by not buying these things, but then it's like, but I want you to have your job still. Like I don't know what to do. It's like I fall dead, just
I
dead
think
center sometimes.
I think we're already sending the message. Like, so we're buying what we want, right? So
Right.
like you saying, like, I want the Vice Admiral Rampart, but you clearly haven't pre-ordered it, right? So you haven't put the money in for it yet. So you've already shown that you're where you're at on it.
Yeah.
Like, but then you go and buy. I saw you bought the Last Ronin, right? So like, you that's a good figure. You're like, this is where I feel my money is well better spent.
Right.
Or I see I think that's Outback or Duke in the background.
Oh, yeah.
You see, like, that's, you still support Hasbro. I've
Mhm.
bought that. You
Yeah.
see, I bought my Street Fighter figures, but do you
Yeah.
see the new Time Force Blue? Do you see the new Dino Thunder Yellow that I always put my new figures out front and they're
Yeah.
not there? Why are they not there? Because I don't think $24.99 is worth it right now. Like,
Yeah.
and if they don't, I they're on Amazon, and honestly, I know Amazon's going to go down at least $2 or $3, and when they go $2 or $3, I'll probably get it.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
$19.99. I don't have to wait for it to go clearance. Like, I bought the Megazord. The Megazord was $165. I think that's actually kind of fair for this Megazord. It's really nice.
Very much so.
But I bought it for $120 because I thought that
Mm.
was the price. That's the price I wanted
Yeah.
it for. And I
Yeah.
thought that was fair.
Yeah.
When you buy a product, you buy something that you want. You're showing them, okay, this is what I want. When you're not buying something because you have your reasons, like $28.99 is a lot for a dude in a military outfit.
Mhm.
Like, you already shown it. Like, you haven't bought it. So there you go. And that's where they're showing in their report that their profit is down because people are like, well, I didn't really like that $28.99 Vital Saddle Rampart, but I like that $22.99 Outback, and I
Yeah.
like that $22.99 Python Viper that a lot
Mhm.
of people bought, but they put, I know there was one clearance and everything like that,
Mhm.
but like a lot of people bought them at $22.99. I did because
Yeah.
they look good.
Yeah.
They look great. I never expected those to go $11, $12.
Yeah. No, not a chance. Yeah.
But because that's not something that happened in GI Joe.
Mhm.
A lot of people bought. I'm trying to think of another figure a lot of people bought for Hasbro. Oh
Oh,
my
like
god,
recently?
yeah, recently.
Well, people were buying Moon Knight. People were buying the shit out of Moon
Exactly.
Knight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And people complain about the MCU Marvel Legends figures.
Yeah.
But they were buying the Moon Knight and they weren't caring. People were buying even the Spinneret Spider-Man 2-pack. It
Great two
was
pack.
windowless. It
Yep.
was what they said they didn't want.
Yep.
And it was a very inflated price of $15.99, but
Yep.
people thought it was worth it because that was supposedly the best Spider-Man they put out since
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
But a lot of people bought that. I never saw more than one of those on the shelf at a time. I never saw I never saw 7 of them,
Yeah.
and unless I know a lot of people did when they came out,
Right.
but
Because they were nervous.
exactly.
It
But
was
the thing
one of
is,
the first waves of the windowless.
but people bought them because they
Yeah.
thought it was worth it. So they showed their money there, but they didn't show them on Wakanda Forever because those figures are everywhere,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they didn't show them on what the Speedball wave. But those had windows. I don't even know what it's called. I don't remember what it was. Blue Marvel Speedball,
Yeah.
uh, whatever that wave was. Those were out and those were window, and people didn't buy them. So you're
Mhm.
showing. I think people are already showing their where they want their products, and they're showing it by how they spend already.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's. I don't think anybody could say it any better. Like it's that is 100% accurate. The one that I was thinking of when I was doing the post about David, actually, let me or Dan, let me pull it up here. Where are you? Here you go. probably the one that we gave them the most crap about
Yeah.
in recent years, the Ghost Rider vehicle. This thing, if this was $150, maybe
Yeah.
two, gone. This thing
Yeah.
would have beat its goal in 5 minutes. And I'm like, I don't know how else to, because obviously I do feel like the people at the top in most places don't watch YouTube. They're not sitting down like, oh, how do people feel about my stuff this week? Like that doesn't happen. Maybe it should, but I'm like, this Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider vehicle with Ghost Rider, people would have bought the shit out of this at a decent price if it was reasonable, And I'm like, sometimes I don't know, like how do we convey that to them outside of just not backing it? Like that's where I struggle, and I'm like, maybe that's where they need to have marketing people just on YouTube going through the BS bash videos and the bashing articles to see like what's the good parts out of this, like where could we probably turn this around and get something from it.
Yeah, and I think so. HasLab is a really good way of obviously showing what you're going to support and not support. Before that you had the Rancor and the Riva Lightsaber,
Yeah.
and people didn't buy those. And the Rancor. I know everybody, a lot of Star Wars community wanted that, but what was it, $300 or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
It was a ridiculous price, but I mean, it looks good.
350.
Yeah, 350. It was more than I remember.
Yeah.
And it was just that, like, dude, we know it's not. We're not going to do 350 for that. Like that, I think everybody was in agreement. It was just like, no, like, and then you get to Ghost Rider, and Ghost Rider is something everybody wanted. Remember before they launched it, everybody was dope. We're like, we want this Ghost Rider. We don't care if it's a car. We don't care if it's a motorcycle. We hope it's both, but we want Ghost Rider, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was happy when they looked at it, and then they saw the price, and they were like, no, dude, like, we can't do that. Like,
Yeah.
like that's not. I understand that car was gonna be like probably this big. I can't even see my hand, but like, whatever, that big. But and then the detail was there for sure. But like, it just no, like, it wasn't worth it. And the public showed that by not funding it, and at the end of the day, they see it. They see that, and they're like, well, that didn't work. Now, where they need to go back and find out is why didn't that work? And then what didn't work about it was, obviously on this one, the price was hard during a recession. I guess we can call it a recession, but definitely inflation at the time.
Yeah.
Well, because it's not a recession, because like unemployment's at like an all-time low, and
right. I still think it is. I think it's just delayed, but topic for another day. We'll continue.
It's just it's expensive right now. When bread went up 3 times the price and eggs are $15 a dozen. Like it's just like, why am I gonna buy a $300 toy? But then you got the Hiss, and I think the difference between the Hiss and the Ghost Rider car is, one, this was the first HasLab for G.I. Joe. And then two, like, we could see it and we're like, okay, like at first, like, there was like a bunch of stuff it came with just right off the bat, right? Like, there's like 2 figures, and then I think honestly just the delivery of this one, they got the fan base hyped before it. They had good releases before it. They had a demand for more G.I. Joe, and they pulled it off the correct way on this one. Maybe that was the issue with Marvel Legends. There was no hype with the line before then,
I would even dare say Ghost Rider maybe would have pulled it out if you didn't double dip and have Ghost Rider launch probably not even a month after people back this. And you're asking them to do 300 back to back. And one of them's more money for less things.
I remember they did that one year. Like, they had like 6 HasLabs running at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It was like Galactus. It was a Transformers toy, Striker, and it was the Mandalorian ship.
The Razor Crest.
Yeah, the Razor Crest. And I think the Star Wars Rancor was at that time too.
Yeah.
I think that, and yeah, the Rancor was, and then the Ghostbusters Proton Pack. Those
Yeah.
were all running at the same time.
Yeah.
That's when they got cocky.
Yeah. They're like, oh, you guys got 350? You could do that every month.
Like, there's people putting $1,200 on these, and I'm like, dude, those are resellers. This is not just
I
collectors.
was about to say most
Like,
of them are resellers,
nah, man.
especially with the Proton Pack. But that was one where I was like, you know what? You identified the need. Those same kids, now they're adults, always wanted one, couldn't get
They're
one.
making their own.
They're
Yeah.
making their own or paying $1,000 for somebody to make it for them. But you know what? If you want it, come get it.
They fill the demand.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Almost 3 times the target on this
See,
one.
and the Ghost Rider thing, like, I don't know. Maybe it hurt them. Remember Cosmic Ghost Rider? Remember that was on clearance for like $30 like 2 years prior?
Really? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, it was a Ghost Rider and a cosmic version of the motorcycle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you're like, and that was like what? That was like at the time 40, and then I think it went down to like 25 on Amazon at one time.
Mhm.
You know, like, and I'm sure that was like a 1-day deal or something like that, but still it did, you know, and then you get to here and it's like 350, and you're like, I don't know. I don't know what, now that I look at it again, I don't know why we hated it so much.
No, it
Like,
looks
it was
great.
really cool,
It
you
looks
know,
great.
like maybe it was just the wrong time for it.
It was. It was. I mean, wrong time, wrong amount, and you know, I think at 350, I was saying this when it was announced before. I was like, 350. You need to tell us all the tiers right now, like what
Yeah.
is in each tier, and one of those tiers needs to be a motorcycle. Like,
Yeah, I
cheap
did
out
agree
if
that
you
we need a
want.
motorcycle. We need both.
Yeah, cheap out or something, but you need to throw in a second vehicle because this is not gonna. It just
I think
ain't gonna work
I think if they had put in the motorcycle, I would have gone 250, and I may have done it actually.
for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Get both of them, have them side by side, like because I think
Or
Ghost
if
Rider wasn't he one of the tiers too, like the regular.
the
Ghost Rider?
yeah the head, the civilian head, which I thought was dumb. Like, why wouldn't you just include that? I remember thinking that was dumb.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, civilian head. That
Yeah.
was one of the yeah. That I think
Or
that
maybe
was there. That was the BS moment. It was like, oh wait, what?
yeah, that was like you planned the tiers way ahead before.
Yeah.
The tiers are supposed to be extra. I remember during the Sentinel when they were like, I guess we're gonna add a tier, and they were sending us like blueprints, like remember that?
Yeah.
It wasn't even like
Yeah.
filled in. It was like an outline of what something might look like. They're like,
They-
we just threw this out here. Like, what do you guys think? Like, okay, we backed, like, people backed it, you know? It was like it wasn't okay, that was cool, you know? Like, these were clearly planned beforehand.
They
I
did
think
it
the
with
tier-
they did it here.
Yeah.
Like this was just a drawing. No idea what he's gonna look like.
Exactly. I think it was less than that. I remember like just that. You see that like kind of exoskeleton blueprint kind of right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That's what we saw for one of them for the Sentinel tiers.
Mhm. Yeah. Wild. Man,
We still need our Power Rangers hat. It's gonna happen soon.
I'm waiting for that video to pop off. I'm still waiting for people to see it. Hasbro.
So we
see
told
it.
you so.
Told you. Cut us the check. You know, do your
Yeah.
damn thing. I didn't even notice we've already gone over by 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's
can
because I
talk to you all
ranted.
day. No, I can talk to you all the time. I do want to end on one question. Mulatto Vanguard I'd asked earlier. I never want you guys to think I'm missing your chats. I'm definitely going through each of them, and now with the eCam, I could star some of them so I know to come back to them.
Nice.
He wants to see an interview with you and Austin St. John. I don't think I can do it because of my videos and what made me popular. I wouldn't feel right, but I think that's all you.
Dude, oh man, it's funny because I always think, okay, today's the day I'm gonna do why Jason is the worst Red Ranger video, and I just never do it, you know. And I'm like, today's the day I'm gonna do it, and then I'm like, I just don't feel like that noise right now. But like, I would like to interview Austin St. John. I like to interview any of the Rangers, honestly, but I feel like there's some of the Rangers that probably think like they have their own medium, so they probably wouldn't want to, because he has this fan word thing.
Yeah.
Like I know there's a possibility of me talking to Nakia Beres, the Yellow Zeo Ranger,
Oh, okay.
and I was talking about it, and I was like, well, I don't know. I might get like maybe a quote out of her, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but I just don't think I'll get an interview because she has her own show on Patreon, you know.
Mm.
And I'm like, I don't know, especially with the more OG ones, um, that I'm learning is that they want things a certain way,
Yeah.
so I just don't know if I'm there yet as far as that. But that may be cool. I think if I had a chance, I mean, it would have been Jason David Frank. I would have definitely probably done an interview with me.
Yeah.
But obviously that's no more.
Yeah.
The one I want to interview the most is coming up at More Phenomenal is Hunter Dino. I think she's the most relevant right now. She's going to be their first full time actual good Red Ranger leader in more
Mm-hmm.
than 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'd be cool. So hopefully that works on. Actually, the promoter just texted me a second ago, so hopefully that's something good. But
Nice.
um, that's something I want to do right now is interview more of the Cosmic Fury cast for sure.
Yeah. No.
I might be talking to um Blake Foster. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to be talking to him. That'd be cool.
Um. So, last question, I swear,
Yeah,
is this Red Ranger from Super Mega Force? I see he takes shit all day.
yeah.
Do you
And he's
think?
not.
But do you think Jason is worse than him?
Story wise, yes.
Interesting.
Now the acting, I mean, is different, but I mean that guy. It's what sucks about that guy is that he was just written so badly,
Yeah.
and I don't think the actor matched the character.
Mm.
And he is so nice to the fandom. Like he is
Yeah.
such a good guy, and he gets a lot of the actor himself gets a lot of crap for the character. And it's not
Mm.
necessarily all him, But yeah, I mean, um, I'll get to that video eventually. It'll happen.
Interview Austin first, and then do the video.
That no, I was thinking about that, and it was like I was because I post some was his assistant messaged me one time about me posting on their group or whatever, and was like, hey, I like your stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And I was like, well, would I post that video in that group?
Mm,
Like, is Jason the worst Red Ranger? I mean, like, it is the most grabbing title.
it is. It is. I mean, hey, that man got that again. That's why I feel bad about doing it. That man and his issues got us monetized. So it's like
Yeah.
it just feels weird. It just feels weird.
So I think so when I make that video, there's gonna be parameters. There's gonna be like, I know Sentai exists. We're not talking about Sentai.
Yeah.
I know the behind the scenes exist. We're not talking about that. We're
Mm,
talking about strictly how it was written. And if
mm,
we're looking at it, I'm going to give you reasons. I already have the reasons in my head. I know the reasons. The
yeah.
video is already made in
Yeah.
here. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like, I think once I say it out loud, people will be like, okay, I get that. And I'm just talking about also just as a Red Ranger. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Gold Zeo. I'm talking about his time as a leader as Red Ranger.
Yeah. I'm down for that video. I want to see it. I want
It'll
to see
get
it.
made. Maybe next year. Yeah.
So, as I say every single week, first of all, thank you all for sticking around as we went into
Yes.
OT. Like I said, I could talk to Daniel all day, all freaking day. But I will give you the spotlight one last time. Legacy of Nerd, plug yo shit.
All right, guys. As far as things coming up, I just dropped a video today. I talked to Christopher Kim Lee, which is my favorite interview of the In Space cast. Please watch to the very end. Once you get to the very end, you will know why I said watch to the very end. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But also make sure to watch the other interviews where they were really great. It was my first foray into interviewing celebrities, and it was a lot of fun. Things coming up. I have some videos in my head planned that we'll work on. I'm also going to start working, like I said before, I'm going to start working with Countdown City Geeks. You can find them at countdowncitygeeks.com. And they're also on YouTube at Countdown City Geekcast. I'll be writing some articles for them. I'll be contributing some content for them as well. I will definitely be attending More Phenomenal up here in San Antonio in March. So if you want to come hang out with me, I will be there. I am doing a podcast this Monday with a Power Ranger podcast called Zero to Hero. And that will probably be out the following week because they record their shows. And I am just exploring now, having fun, trying to diverse myself. But you can find me on YouTube. I am on Facebook. I am on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. And I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it.
I love that. You're everywhere. And even though the toy hunting may not be number one, it all somehow still involves
Yeah,
toys,
it does.
collection, and the fandom. I love it.
It does. I do want to show this off as a possible thing that may come. I had Christopher autograph this for me, but I didn't have him put a name on it.
Ah.
So maybe someday. I don't know. We'll see.
It's funny. I did want that when I was going hardcore, and I think what literally stopped me from continuing really hard in Legacy was space or lightning. Sorry, it was just space.
Really?
Yeah. Otherwise, I probably because I had different shelves with all the teams on them.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to keep it going, and I was going through space, and then I was like, but Star Wars is taking over some room. I finally, got my hands on the NECA Turtles, and then that started taking up room, and then the Power Rangers had to just come down.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, you got to make your choices.
But, sir, it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure, as always. Everybody, make sure you head out the Legacy of Nerd, or check out the Legacy of Oof. See, it's starting to get to me. Make sure you check out the Legacy of Nerd. Down in the description, links to everything are there. Again, follow all the channels that he mentioned. Great content, but overall, just a great dude. But here at Nerd Affiliated, we'll be here every Thursday, every Monday. Us degenerates here just chilling, having a drink, talking all things nerdy. I'm throwing a curveball at you guys, though. We have, of course, Nerdy Coffee on Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern. But next week's Thursday's HeyArcher Live, 9 p.m., not 8:15. So the guest of that week, he's a West Coaster. So we're going to be doing a 9 p.m. just to accommodate him.
Nerd Affiliated After Dark.
After Dark, yeah. You'll find out who the guest is on Thursday. So it's a good surprise. I can't wait to have him on. But again, I thank all of you for being here. This is fun. We love doing this. If you have not done so, hit subscribe down below, hit a thumbs up. If you want to join the Nerd Foundation, links are down below. We appreciate all your support. As I said, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll talk to all you nerds in the next video. Peace. We're out of here. Also, don't forget, Yukon Phil. Let's get him to 1,000, ladies and gents. He's almost there. He's almost there.